What's going on, guys? It's FastCutOne and I'm back with some more Battlefield 4. So today I will be reviewing an LMG that has really stood out for me on many fronts, and that is the MG4. As many of you know, the MG4 is the light machine gun found in the support class, and I was actually fairly intrigued to find out how good this weapon actually is, since it felt more like a heavy assault rifle as opposed to your typical machine gun. So let's start by going over some of its stats. So the MG4 does a maximum damage of 25 and then drops to a minimum damage of 18, with its drop off starting at 8 meters. It also has a rate of fire of 800 rounds per minute and a muzzle velocity of 620 meters per second, but when a suppressor is applied to it, it drops down to 330 meters per second. The MG4 also has a magazine size of 200 rounds, and that comes with reload times of 6.2 when empty and when one left in the magazine, so it doesn't really change whether you leave one bullet in the magazine or not. Now, one important factor with the light machine guns is the recoil patterns, and I feel like the recoil patterns on the MG4 are actually pretty manageable when compared to the heavy hitting machine guns. So the MG4 pulls up by 0.4, pulls to the left by 0.2, and pulls to the right by 0.4. So what it will look like is pulling up and to the right with a greater force, and like I mentioned before, this is pretty manageable compared to the rest. So how the MG4 performs as a whole is actually pretty good, and throughout the time that I've been using, I actually found it to be pretty effective at close ranges, and what I mean by that is under 80 meters, and this was due to it having a really high rate of fire, and this is something that not many light machine guns have, and this is why they mostly fail at close ranges. But one problem that I noticed with the MG4, and that is very common with all other light machine guns, is that it doesn't have really good hip fire, and this could also depend on how good your aim is. So if your aim is below average, then you're definitely going to have a harder time with this weapon. Now, another thing that I really like about this weapon is that it's really easy to pick off enemies at range, although you won't want to go ham on the trigger with this weapon, since then all your bullets won't hit your target. So what you're going to want to do is tap fire this weapon in order to stay accurate, and as you can see in the gameplay, this is what I did most of the time, and I was actually pretty effective with it, being able to take out my enemies at around the 80 meter mark, like I mentioned before. And that's up to where you can actually be effective with this weapon. And once you go past that 80 meter mark, then I think this weapon just becomes useless, since you won't even be able to hit anything. So the advantages of the MG4 have to be its rate of fire, magazine size, and manageable recoil patterns, and some of its disadvantages have to be its reload times and bad hip fire. Now, my personal setup for this weapon has to be the Coyote sight, tri-beam laser sight, flash hider, and stubby grip, and I found the tri-beam laser sight to be a lot more effective with a weapon like a light machine gun, since you are dealing with a weapon that doesn't have good hip firing, and so the laser sight will definitely help it out a lot. And the reason why I use the flash hider and not the heavy barrel on the machine gun is because the heavy barrel in Battlefield 4 just makes anything kick like a mule, and so keeping it as a flash hider just makes the weapon be a lot more controllable and keeps the recoil patterns where they are. Now, I do add the stubby grip because it does add a little bit of accuracy, but it doesn't increase the recoil patterns as much as the heavy barrel does. So yeah, guys, this brings us to the end of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Remember to leave a rating, as it does help out the video and the channel a lot, as well as if you're new here, hit that subscribe button for more, as I will be uploading some more Battlefield 4 content in the future. And as always, this was FastCutOne, and see you in the next video.